McLaren's call on Sunday ignited a discussion that hasn't settled. Oscar Piastri stayed composed on the radio and in Park Fur, but every comment since has delivered the same message. He feels he did nothing incorrect and he dislikes suffering for another man's misfortune. He's not isolated in that. Mark Webber has been vocal about what he sees as growing bias, and with his background, he spots those signs quickly. Damon Hill also commented, and the response his words generated from fans showed this is larger than one slow wheel nut. On paper, the sequence looked obvious, but in reality, it was complicated. Lando Norris ran second behind Max Verstappen. McLaren intended to stop both cars later with Oscar Piastri first to block Charles Leclerc. Over radio, Will Joseph told Norris there would be no undercut. Norris asked the clear question. Joseph verified and the plan was set. Piastri pitted and achieved a 1.9-second stop. Norris came next but dropped 4 seconds with a slow front left. He emerged after his teammate. In racing terms, that is racing. In agreement terms, McLaren had already said the sequence would remain the same. The next step created the controversy. Tom Stallard told Piastri to return the position. Piastri's reply was pointed. They had decided. Slow stops were racing reality, so what was different? Still, he obeyed, which says a lot. A young driver competing for a title may suppress annoyance for the bigger goal, but it remains. Andrea Stella later said the move was about sticking to values. The stops had been planned to safeguard the team's benefit, not to swap positions. Since the slow stop flipped them, placing Norris back into second was, in Stella's words, the right call. Then let them race. Take McLaren at its word, and this was about confidence. Norris was assured no undercut, and the team had to honor that commitment even after misfortune hit. From a racer's view, this was about risk and reward. Piastri and his crew performed, and the clock rewarded them. A 4-second loss is part of the sport, just like unexpected wins or late virtual safety cars. The gap between those two arguments will determine how this tale looks a month from now. Fans were not divided equally. Hill mocked the team order with a tale from 1993 and ran a survey. Most said they did not align with the decision. Jokes aside, that result matches many instincts. Team orders are tolerated when a title fight requires it or when strategy is perfectly clear, but they annoy people when they dull a result that happened through performance. Stella's defense has been consistent. He said pitting Piastri first and holding Norris was due to race control risk and Ferrari coverage. He added both drivers had been told the sequencing would not change track position. In that light, placing Norris back ahead was not a gift, but a reset to the baseline the team had set. He also said the team will review the rules both for slow stops alone and for pit sequencing and make sure the drivers are aligned. Hence, the book is still being written. The standings add fuel. Piastri left Monza with his lead cut to 31 points with 8 races left. It's still a solid margin, but the tone shifted. When a driver loses 3 points after a clean, sharp Sunday, the mental edge shifts. That's where Webber's view carries weight. He remembers the worst of this tale, even saying, "Not bad for a number." He knows how small moments can build into patterns of bias, whether right or not. So when he says the gap does not show how much control Piastri really has, he is arguing for technical respect, not national pride. Norris, for his part, tried to ease the tension before it grew. He pushed back on claims that his mentality is weak, admitted he respects the harder edge of drivers like Verstappen, and made clear he wants to win his own way. That honesty is part of why things have stayed calm inside McLaren. Piastri is measured. Norris shows more emotion. Both are quick enough to beat the other on any Sunday. When two talents overlap that closely, the team survives or falls on how well it explains the boundaries before the lights go out. This is where fans often divide. People look for villains. Webber as bitter advisor, Norris as favored son, Piastri as cheated champion, McLaren as principled or scheming. The truth is less dramatic and more fragile. A team in a title fight needs rules both drivers see as equal. The second one feels the balance has shifted. Performance drops even if the data says otherwise. You do not need a bad guy to see the danger in Sunday's choice. Jacques Villeneuve's view adds perspective. He said Webber is an asset for Piastri because he knows the politics of chasing a title next to a star teammate. Villeneuve also stressed that McLaren is not Red Bull 2010. There is no deep bias built into the walls that matters. It means the outcome is still in McLaren's control. Keep things even, and the drivers will keep it cool. Miss on messaging or consistency, and every slow stop or pit call will be read as bias. The Australian angle now adds weight. Piastri has already tied Weber's 9 wins and passed Ricciardo's 8. He is hunting Alan Jones and Jack Brabham. At the same time, he is chasing his first crown as the first non-European world champion since Wiener Nerve in 1997. That backdrop will color every late-season call. When you are writing history live, each team order feels heavier than one in April. McLaren cannot ignore that. They need to turn it into clarity, not static. So, what value works? If you assure no undercut and a pit error flips the order, do you restore it as contract or let the race decide? There is no answer that pleases everyone. What you can do is set the rule early, write it down, tell both drivers and apply it without caring who it helps. If that happened at Monza, McLaren can defend it. If it was vague or too late, they will face the fallout. The next steps are easy to predict. Piastri will say the right things and keep the points. Norris will say he has moved on from Zandvoort and keep swinging. The team will review and call it procedural. Then Qatar will come with its own drama, and the system will be tested again. That is why Sunday is larger than 3 points. It was a test of the social contract inside the garage. If both drivers still believe it is right, McLaren goes forward with 2 weapons. If doubt sets in, the title fight gets tougher than needed. Strip back the noise and one key tension remains. Pure racing rewards execution and accepts luck. Team title management rewards commitments and avoids risk. The best outfits balance both in language their drivers trust. McLaren says that is what they did. Piastri's tone hints he is not convinced. Webber's instincts suggest he will keep guard. Hill's survey shows fans are not yet buying the company line. The next 8 races will decide which tale holds up. For now, the spotlight is on McLaren's ability to show consistency. Titles are not only won on pace, but on trust between driver and team. Every instruction, every pit call, every commitment carries weight when margins are this fine. How McLaren handles the next few weeks will shape not just the standings, but the culture inside the garage. The lesson from Sunday is simple. The fastest way to calm a storm is not soft words. It is to publish the value, commit before the race, and prove it applies both ways. Do that, and McLaren's stance looks like strength. Fail, and Monza's echo will last until Abu Dhabi. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below.